The warning had been spoken so many times that it no longer sounded like a warning. It sounded like a law carved into the bones of the galaxy. Every human who served beyond Earth learned it on their first day. Stay away from the alien princess. Do not look at her for too long. Do not speak her name with curiosity. And never let her touch you. They said her presence bent the mind. They said her voice could rewrite loyalty. And they said a single moment of closeness was enough to end a human life forever. Some whispered that she destroyed minds. Others claimed she enslaved humans without chains. No one ever said they survived her love. The human soldier had heard all of it before, again and again, during training, during transport, during sleepless nights in deep space. He was not special, not chosen by prophecy, not stronger than other men. He was just another human assigned to an alien world that did not want him there. The royal facility floated above the planet like a silent judgment. Smooth and cold, built from alien metal that never rusted and never felt warm. Humans were allowed inside only because they were useful, because they followed orders, and because they obeyed the rules. One rule stood above all others. The alien princess was forbidden. Even the alien guards avoided her wing of the structure, lowering their eyes when they passed near it. When the human soldier received his assignment, his stomach tightened. Night watch, inner sector. Proximity to the royal wing. He did not ask questions. Humans who asked questions did not last long out here. The corridors were quiet, too quiet, filled with soft lights that hummed like distant breathing. As he walked his route, he felt something strange, a pressure in the air that did not belong. Two machines. It was not fear at first. It was awareness, as if the space around him had opened its eyes. He had not seen her, but he knew she was near. The whispers returned to his mind. Uninvited, she destroys minds. She enslaves humans. Stay away. His hand tightened around his weapon. Even though he knew it would be useless against royalty, every step felt heavier, as if the floor itself was warning him to turn back. Then the pressure faded, leaving silence behind. He told himself it was nothing, just nerves. Just stories, planted too deeply into human imagination. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time felt unreliable in that place. Eventually his shift ended, and he returned to his assigned rest chamber. The room was small and clean, designed for function, not comfort. He removed his armor and sat on the edge of the bed, letting out a slow breath. That was when he felt it again. The pressure returned, stronger now, closer. The lights dimmed without command. The air grew warm. He stood up, heart racing, and turned toward the door. It was still sealed, untouched. He was not alone. Something moved behind him, soft and silent. Before he could react, the bed shifted, as if another presence had joined him. He froze, every muscle locked between fear and disbelief. Slowly, gently, someone lay down beside him. Her presence was calm, not violent, not cruel. It felt like standing near a quiet ocean at night, powerful but peaceful. He did not turn his head. He did not dare breathe too loudly. This was impossible, forbidden, deadly. A soft voice broke the silence. Close enough that he could feel the warmth of it against his skin. Love me, human. The words were not a command. They were not sharp or controlling. They were almost fragile. His mind screamed danger. His training shouted execution. Yet his heart did something strange. It listened. He remained frozen, caught between everything he had been taught and everything he was feeling for the first time. The alien princess did not move. She did not touch him. She simply stayed. The galaxy had warned him to stay away from her, but she had come to him, and in that silent room, with the universe holding its breath, everything began to change. If you are enjoying this story so far and want to know what happens next, gently consider subscribing to this channel for more HFY sci-fi stories like this. The human soldier did not know it yet, but the warning he ignored that night would reshape worlds. And this was only the beginning. The human soldier did not sleep that night. He lay still on the bed, staring at the dim ceiling, aware of every breath he took. Aware of the presence beside him, the alien princess remained close, yet untouched. As if even she feared crossing a line that could not be undone. When the silence finally broke, it was not with movement, but with truth. She spoke softly, not like a ruler, not like a weapon, but like someone who had waited too long to be heard. Her race ruled half the known systems, advanced beyond human science, powerful beyond human fleets. To them, humans were temporary creatures, short-lived, emotional, easy to control. They called humans useful, never equal. The princess knew this. She had been raised inside it, shaped by it, trapped by it. Yet she was different. She felt things her kind had erased long ago. She could feel fear without hunger for control, pain without desire for dominance, and hope without strategy. She could feel humans. That was why she was dangerous. That was why she was isolated. From the moment her abilities were discovered, she was locked away from her own people, watched, measured, and controlled. Empathy was a flaw in her empire, and she carried it like a crime. The human soldier listened, his mind torn between disbelief and understanding. Every word she spoke made sense in a way that scared him. He thought of the rules again. If anyone saw her here, execution, public and final. If he pushed her away, if he told her to leave, guilt would follow him forever. He had never wanted power, never wanted to matter. Yet now the galaxy had placed something fragile and forbidden beside him. She told him the truth about her isolation, how centuries passed without touch, without choice, without warmth. Love was forbidden to her kind, not because it was weak, but because it was uncontrollable. Love broke order. Love created loyalty without command. Love made slaves impossible. That was why her race feared it. That was why she had been marked. She told him she did not come to him by accident. She had felt him days before, his thoughts, his doubts, his quiet resistance to the way humans were treated among thousands. She chose him, not because he was strong, but because he was kind. The weight of that choice crushed him. He asked himself if he was allowed to matter this much to someone like her. She told him she could not choose again, that the bond she felt was rare and irreversible. If it failed, she would be erased. If it succeeded, war would follow. The human soldier felt fear rise again, but it was different now, deeper, sharper. He was no longer afraid for himself alone. He was afraid for her. She shifted slightly, and for the first time, he dared to look at her. Her eyes were not cold or alien in that moment. They were tired, hopeful, and afraid. She asked nothing more than presence, nothing more than staying outside the chamber. Unseen systems activated, ancient safeguards responding to emotional fluctuation. The mark on her body, hidden beneath soft light, began to react, a symbol placed on her at birth. A royal control seal designed to suppress choice. It glowed faintly at first, like a warning. Remembered too late. The princess felt it instantly, her body stiffening as the glow spread. She whispered that the system had noticed her bond. The Empire was watching now. The human soldier realized the rules had already been broken, whether he ran or stayed. And as the royal control mark burned brighter against her skin, the galaxy took its first step toward something it could not stop. The glow on the princess's body did not fade when the lights returned to normal. Instead, it pulsed slowly, like a signal sent into the dark, far beyond the royal facility. Within chambers carved from living crystal, the alien High Council felt the change. They did not see her face, but they sensed the disturbance. A royal bond signal had awakened. Something that should never exist. Whispers spread through their ranks, sharp and fearful, a human presence near the princess. Suspicion became certainty. Orders were issued without delay. Security protocols escalated across the station. Corridors sealed. Access paths restricted. Alien guards multiplied, their movements precise and cold. Humans were watched more closely than ever before. The human soldier felt it immediately. Eyes followed him where before there had been none. Doors opened slower. Voices stopped when he entered a room. People he knew began to vanish. First, a technician who had joked with him during meals. Then a guard who shared night watch duty. No explanations were given, no names spoken aloud. The silence was louder than any alarm. When he returned to his chamber, the princess was waiting, her expression tense, her control mark still glowing beneath her skin. She told him the truth he had been avoiding. The bond between them was incomplete, but already visible to the Empire. If it completed, if their connection deepened beyond thought and presence, it would trigger a war across systems. Her people would never allow a human to claim what they believed belonged only to royalty. If the bond was broken, if she was forced away or erased from him, she would die, not by blade, but by the control systems built into her body. There was no safe choice. The human soldier felt the weight of it crush his chest. He had lived his life following orders, staying small, surviving quietly. Now the galaxy demanded a decision from him: run away and live, or stay and risk everything. Thea told him to leave, to disappear into the endless dark where no one would remember his name. But guilt wrapped around him tighter than fear ever had. He looked at the princess and saw, not a ruler, not a weapon, but someone who had never been allowed to choose. He stayed. As security tightened further, alien technology flooded the facility, scanners probing thoughts, systems searching for emotional anomalies. That was when something unexpected happened. The human soldier's emotions spiked. Fear, care, anger, resolve, all colliding at once. The alien systems hesitated, their readings unstable, their predictions failing. Human emotion did not follow the patterns they understood. It was chaotic, unmeasured, powerful in ways their logic could not contain. The princess felt it too, her control mark flickering as the system struggled to suppress what they could not define. For the first time, alien technology did not respond correctly. Alarms whispered instead of screamed. Sensors contradicted each other. The High Council felt confusion rippled through their control networks. Human emotion was interfering. The princess tried to stand, pain crossing her face as the mark burned brighter, fighting against the disruption. She reached for the human soldier, not in command, but in need. Her strength failed. She collapsed into his arms, her body trembling as the control systems fought to reclaim dominance. He caught her instinctively, holding her without thinking, without permission. The glow surged once more, then faltered. In that moment, the human soldier understood something the galaxy never had. Humans were not weak because they felt, they were dangerous because they did. And as the princess lay unconscious against his chest, the warning became real, and the cost of staying became unavoidable. The princess did not wake for a long time. The human soldier stayed beside her, afraid that if he moved, something worse would happen. Her breathing was shallow, uneven, each breath a reminder of how fragile she truly was beneath the title she carried. He had been trained for battle, for survival, for obedience, but never for this. He removed parts of his armor and used them to keep her warm, adjusting the lights so they would not hurt her eyes when she awoke. For the first time in her existence, someone cared for her without command, without fear of reward. When she finally opened her eyes, confusion filled them before memory returned. She saw him still there. Still holding her, she did not pull away. Instead, she spoke of her past. She told him she was never meant to be a princess in the way humans understood the word. From birth, she was tested, measured, and shaped. Her empathy was not discovered by accident. It was engineered. Her people had tried to create the perfect weapon, one that could feel enemies, predict them, and break them without violence. She was meant to understand emotions only to control them. But something went wrong. She felt too much. She felt pain, loneliness, and the quiet suffering of those around her, including humans, that made her dangerous, not powerful. So they isolated her, chained her with control marks, and called it protection. The human soldier listened, his hands steady, his heart heavy. He realized she had never belonged to herself. As he stayed with her, something changed. She felt safe, not guarded, not controlled, but safe. She felt belonging, not to an empire, but to a moment, to a presence. She looked at him and said words no one had ever said to her before. "You are not weak?" Those words struck deeper than any weapon. Outside their chamber, the alien High Council reached a decision. The anomaly was no longer tolerable. An order was issued. Across the facility, cold and absolute, terminate the princess. Guards moved with purpose. Systems armed. The control mark on her body began to react violently. The princess felt it immediately. Pain flashing across her face. She knew what it meant, and she accepted it without protest. She told the human soldier to leave. To survive, to forget her. He did not move. For the first time in his life, he did not follow an order, human or alien. He stood between her and the door, his voice steady, despite the fear burning through him when the guards arrived, weapons ready. Systems locked onto her signal. He spoke clearly. "She stays with me." The words echoed in the chamber. Simple and impossible. The guards hesitated, their systems recalculating, unable to process a human refusing imperial command. The princess looked at him, disbelief and emotion breaking through centuries of restraint. In that moment, the sacrifice was made, not by power, not by force, but by choice. And the galaxy trembled at the idea of a human standing for someone the universe had already condemned. The guards did not fire, not because they chose mercy, but because their systems could not decide what to do. A human was standing in direct defiance of imperial command. And the empire had never planned for that. Outside the chamber, human forces began to move, quietly at first, then with purpose. They had noticed the disappearances, the silence, the tightening security. Humans were slow to anger, but they learned patterns quickly. When enough patterns appeared, they acted. Communication channels opened. Human commanders, demanding answers, demanding accountability. The alien High Council dismissed them at first, confident in their technology, confident in their control. Inside the chamber, the princess cried out as the control mark flared, brighter than ever before. The termination sequence had begun. The human soldier pulled her closer, not knowing what else to do, refusing to let go. He spoke to her, not with strategy, not with command, but with honesty. He told her she mattered, that she was not a weapon, not a mistake, not alone. Something inside the princess shifted. The bond between them deepened, not through touch, but through choice. Alien systems reacted violently, readings spiking beyond expected limits. Human emotion flooded the space like a storm, unfiltered and powerful. The control mark cracked, its perfect symmetry breaking under pressure. It was never designed to face. The princess gasped as the pain faded, replaced by clarity. For the first time, the control was gone. Her powers changed instantly. Evolving beyond what the Empire had engineered, she was no longer shaped by fear or limitation. She felt the station, the guards, the council chambers, the ships waiting in orbit. The aliens felt it too. Shock rippled through their command structures. This belief spreading faster than any signal. Human love had done what centuries of control could not. It had broken the chains. The princess stood, steady and free. Her presence no longer contained. She looked at the human soldier, gratitude and resolve clear in her eyes. Then she made her choice. She turned away from the symbols of her empire, away from the council that had built her to serve. She chose humanity. The High Council responded with fear, not reason. Orders were issued across the fleet. Emergency protocols activated. Warships powered up in orbit. Weapons charging. Shields forming. Human commanders saw it and understood immediately. This was no longer about one princess. This was about what humans represented. The human soldier felt the weight of it settle over him. The realization that his choice had changed more than his own fate. Above the planet, engines roared to life. Stars reflecting off armored hulls. The galaxy prepared for war. And at the center of it all stood a human and an alien who had dared to choose each other. The war did not begin with noise. It began with silence, breaking. Alien warships moved into formation, their shadows sliding across the planet like a promise of destruction. Human fleets answered, not with threats, but with presence. They held their lines steady and close, knowing retreat would mean surrender of more than space. Inside the station, the princess stepped forward, her voice calm, even as systems trembled around her. She spoke to her empire, not as a weapon, but as herself. She told them control had failed, fear had failed, and the age of command without consent was over. The High Council responded with fire. Energy lanced through the void, shields flared, and the first exchange shook the stars. The conflict was short, but intense, measured in seconds that felt like lifetimes. Human pilots moved with instinct and trust, adapting mid-fight, supporting one another without orders. Alien ships moved perfectly, predictably, and that became their weakness. The princess reached into the battle. Not to destroy, but to disrupt. She bent signals, softened targeting, turned lethal certainty into hesitation. The human soldier stayed with her, guarding her body while she fought with will alone. He did not feel brave. He felt afraid, but he stayed anyway. That was enough. As losses mounted, the alien High Council felt something unfamiliar, uncertainty. Their systems could not account for humans who chose risk for each other. They could not control beings who valued choice over survival. The realization spread through their ranks. Humans could not be controlled, only respected. A C signal finally cut through the chaos. Sharp and undeniable, the alien weapons powered down. One by one, a peace offer followed. Heavy with reluctance and fear, the Empire would stand down. Recognize human autonomy and withdraw. But the offer came with a condition. The princess must choose, return, and take the throne as queen, reshaping the Empire from within, or leave everything behind and live in exile with the human she had chosen. The station grew quiet as the weight of the choice settled. The princess turned to the human soldier, her expression unreadable. She had never been allowed to choose before, and now the galaxy waited on her answer. He did not speak. He did not beg. He did not promise safety. He only met her gaze, offering presence instead of power. Slowly, she reached out, her fingers wrapped around his hand, firm and warm. The choice was not spoken, but it was clear. And the future shifted with that simple act. The galaxy waited. After the war, ships powered down and the silence returned. Every signal paused. Every system listened. The alien princess stood before the High Council, her hands still joined with the human soldiers. They offered her the throne, power beyond measure, control over laws, fleets, and worlds. They promised change, reform, and a future shaped by her rule. She listened without anger, without pride. Then she refused. She spoke calmly, clearly, and without hesitation. She said she would not rule an empire built on fear, for control and stolen choice. She said a crown gained through suffering was not a crown worth wearing. The words spread faster than war ever had. Across systems, laws shifted, treaties were rewritten, and ancient rules collapsed under their own weight. The galaxy changed not because of conquest, but because someone said no. Humans were no longer labeled inferior, no longer managed as tools or resources. They were recognized as equals. Unpredictable, emotional, and free. The High Council accepted it because they had no other choice. They had seen what happened when humans were pushed too far. They had seen what love could break. The princess and the human soldier left the station quietly. Without ceremony, without guards, they traveled far from the old borders. To a world untouched by empire or fear, the planet was young, covered in open skies, wide oceans, and quiet land. There, they built something simple, Something real. A place without control marks, without warnings, without whispered laws. For the first time, the princess woke without pain. Without systems watching her thoughts, she learned what it meant to live, not to exist. The human soldier learned what it meant to matter, not because of rank or orders, but because he chose to stay. They shared silence, laughter, and moments with no purpose beyond being together. The galaxy moved on, but it remembered them, not as rulers, not as weapons, but as the ones who changed everything by choosing each other. One night, beneath an unfamiliar sky filled with stars, the human soldier lay down to rest. The air was warm, the world calm. He felt a presence beside him, gentle and familiar. The princess lay down next to him, just as she had before. There were no warnings now, no fear of execution, no empire listening. Only two beings sharing a moment the universe could no longer deny. She turned toward him, her eyes soft, her voice quiet. "Love me, human." Hope rested in the words this time, not danger. And for the first time in the galaxy's long history, love was no longer forbidden.